Thanks for taking the time to look at this video. In it, I'm going to tell you how I can help you get more students in your self-defense classes and generally make your town a safer place. Aren't those your main goals in life? And I don't need any money from you, maybe just a little bit of your time. Okay. You see, I write a weekly newspaper column about self-defense. It runs in my local paper, for one. People read it and they start thinking about self-defense. And that makes them safer just because they thought about self-defense. And sometimes the people think about taking a self-defense class and they go ahead and come take my classes. So if my newspaper column ran in your local newspaper, then people in your town would start thinking about taking self-defense classes. And they might call you. And they might email me and I could tell them to call you. Okay? So I'm going to tell you in a minute how you can help me get my newspaper column into your local newspaper. But first, let me tell you what I write about. Okay? I write about fast defense, I write about Krav Maga, I write about impact, because these are the self-defense systems I've studied. I'd love to write about girls fight back and fight like a girl too. So if you can help educate me about those, I'll start writing about those too. I write about how kids can protect themselves from school bullies, and I write about weapons people may decide to carry for self-defense, and I write about the difference between martial art and self-defense. You can see a lot of my past newspaper articles on the blog of my Taekwondo school. What I write about makes people think about taking self-defense classes. So that's how I can help you. Now here's how you can help me. Okay? When I send an email to an editor of a newspaper asking them to consider running my column, my emails get lost among all the other people who want to write columns about sports or archaeology or underwater basket weaving or whatever. Okay? But if you, as a local person, talk to your newspaper about my column, that would make it stick out in the editor's mind and get noticed among all of the column queries that they receive. Okay? So a query is an email that explains who I am and what I write about and has a few sample articles with it. Okay? And when I send out a query to a newspaper, unless the editor had another columnist quit this morning, they probably don't want to spend a lot of time looking at it. But if you talk to the editor about it, there's a chance that they'll decide to run my column. And then I negotiate with them about what I'll get paid. Maybe $5 or $10 a week. Okay? Don't tell the editor, but I would even be willing to send it to the newspaper for free, because I want to help you make your city safer, and I want to build my reputation as a newspaper columnist. Okay? So here's why I don't want you to just tell them I'll do it for free. In my self-defense classes, whenever I say we're going to have a free intro lesson, nobody shows up. Whenever I say we're going to have a $5 intro lesson, 2 or 3 people show up. I don't know what that's all about, but I know that's how it works. So here's how you can help me get my self-defense newspaper column running in your local area. Okay? So I'll email you my query letter that explains the column. And then you call anybody at your local newspaper, if you know somebody who's done a story about you or another self-defense system in the past, or if you can find out who the editor is that makes the decisions about columns, or if you just have to talk to whoever answers the phone. Okay, that's fine. Okay? And you say something like, hey, this is Mike from Blue Mountain Self-Defense, and I wanted to tell you about an idea I have for a new column that you might want to run in this paper. Okay? I heard about a lady that writes a column about self-defense. And newspapers are all the time talking about who got arrested for fighting and who's in the hospital or dead because they've been attacked. And I think it's time that a newspaper started telling people how to stay out of this kind of trouble. Okay? And, you find out who's the email, you find out the email address of the person that the query letter needs to be sent to, and you tell them that you'll forward it to them for them to consider. And if they say something like, oh, well, I sounds great, but I just don't have any budget right now, well, you go ahead and say, well, I'm friends with the lady on Facebook. Hurry up and friend me if you need to. And say, I bet I could get her to run it for a real good deal. You know, I know she's more interested in getting out the message about self-defense than what she gets paid. Okay? Something like that. I know some of you may be concerned, thinking, well, what if I say something in the articles that you don't agree with? You know, or what if I'm talking about what if I'm talking about a self-defense system that's not the one you do, and you have a competitor that does that, and so I make people want to go to your competitor instead of you. You know, these articles, they're not written for the people that know about self-defense. Okay, I know you Krav Maga instructors might be thinking, well, what's impact? What's fast defense? And you impact and fast defense instructors might be thinking, well, Krav Maga, that's not self-defense, that's martial art. And, you know, it's not about these kind of things. Okay, the column is about talking to the people that think Krav Maga is some kind of food and didn't even know that there was such a thing as fast defense or impact or girls fight back or something like that. And they didn't really realize that they could get out there and learn something about self-defense. All right, so that's who I write my columns for. And, you know, I can mention you specifically in the columns. If you'll start sending me emails, updates about what's going on in your self-defense classes, sometime I can work into an article. You know, maybe I'm talking about the role of blocks in self-defense, and I say, well, so-and-so in Boca Raton, he thinks this, and so-and-so in Seattle, Washington, she thinks that this, you know, and get your name out there in the paper, and just start getting a dialogue going in the minds of all the people that read newspapers and never even realized that they could actually learn how to use their own body to protect themselves from a person they're in danger from. So, send me an email if you'd like to help me out with this project. I know it's going to get you new students. I know it's going to make your town safer. And I hope it's going to build me a reputation as a good newspaper columnist. And you can email me. LCSD stands for Las Cruces Self-Defense at zianet.com. That's Z as in zebra, IANET.com. Okay? And, you know, I would love to hear from you, and I hope my project can be of help to you. Oh yeah, one more quick thing. Could you please help me out and share this with other reality-based self-defense instructors so they also have the opportunity to get the newspaper column running in their area too?